Hi, everybody. Uh, Today, I would like to present to you some information that has been coming along for quite some time. The information relates to what has been revealed over time. I've taken time to put it all together to present to you what it is that you essentially will be looking at. Understand something very clear here. The wisdom that you've accumulated over time in terms of what you've encountered and how you are creating your own personal realities, that you have experienced the process of a lot of self love, which means you have gone to the point of really taking the time to investigate the philosophy and all the other videos that have been presented on this channel. And if you're brand new, thank you so much for being part of the channel. The information that is on the channel is presented, most of it, the core of the channel is on. You should watch from the beginning actually, but if you really want to know the nitty gritty, please look at deep stuff and start from there. I think everything else will then fall into place depending on where you are in your journey. So, what I would like to present to you is something that relates to the understanding of how the torus operates. But overall, it's not talking about the torus itself, but um, letting you know that the frequency of self love and self care, and just because you have that expression of energy doesn't mean that you are a weak person. It means that your energy is actually actualized and excels in a quite radical, profound way, which is why I want to present to you the information. I want to basically expose certain things for you so that you understand where we're coming at. I also need to explain to you something about myself. If there is, like I've said before, I am a psychic person. I am also intuitively connected with most things. Many of you who know me know that. So when information comes to me, it normally comes into whatever medium it does, but it's always coming from within. Now, if certain people send certain psychic attacks or programs or ideologies or belief systems, I'm able to track where the information comes from and in what intention it was done. I would basically be able to tell you that even though I could present as a target or a target by a person who is sending a psychic attack, for example, that I'm able to tell you what that person has been doing in his or her life, whether they have children or not, what the color of their eyes are, where they work, who they work for, what they've even eaten. So that is how it works. And this is how the information has come to me. So I want to present to you something that is actually quite vital to understand because there are a few things related to that. And I have to bring it in this order so that you understand where it comes from. It comes from the very people that are doing the psychic attack work, even if they are in, um, even if most people don't know about them, they are very masked individuals. They hide behind certain ideologies and belief systems. So understand it very clearly that whatever they've been doing it a lot of the time. They've been doing it since I was a child, and I've been investigating them just as much as they've been trying to investigate me. So now, aside from that, uh, I want to say in simple terms, because so many people have been working on themselves in self love, it's basically been shattering a lot of frequencies that have been hiding them. So, like I say, the masks are off. And every time when I present information, I announce it in the community tab. So if you're new, always look in the community tab. Always click on the bell icon so that you get the notification because I do not post videos regularly. I do post them as I am led to do so. So the information, when it comes out at the right time, as it always does. So, in that being said, I would like to bring up a following observation of what has been happening so that you understand how this process works It's about an old reality that's basically being made obsolete, and a new reality which is being birthed as we speak. So, technically speaking, or in a metaphysical term, you would call this new reality a birth of a child. And that is how they see this new reality. Now, I know that there has been a lot of fear around that energy because even as I'm telling you about this, I can actually feel it coming from these frequencies, these people, that there is quite a deep sense of anger around that. Even when I bring the information up, there's always a lot of animosity around that, and I can sense that from other people. They may be talking about this channel other places and other social media, because I can see where it is as well. I can sense as well. I don't need to investigate any channel. I know what is going on. I sense it. Um, Now, aside from that, I'd also like to call up this particular frequency of people as a type of collective consciousness, which now becomes more clearer over time. You may have encountered some of these individuals and you may not even have noticed or known who they are essentially. They are all over the place, they are all over the world. You would look at them as a type of collective or a hive mind as such. And I will explain it more in detail. I am reading from my own notes because there's a lot of information that I'd like to get through. So if I do look down, it's because I'm looking at my notes. I also know that these people are essentially very proficient in remote viewing because that is what they would consider as a type of psychic gift when it is not. Psychic energy is an inherited, internal, original gift that comes with a unique understanding of being. So if you are proficient in remote viewing, yes, some of you may be intuitive, as many of you know. I know you personally. Some of you are exceptional in your intuitive skills and you're able to understand how to do remote viewing. Whereas other people who are doing this for a living are being paid to do so, and some are taught or trained in how to actually do remote viewing. So that is not a psychic skill. That is an intuitive skill that relates to actually going into a particular calmer state of mind, etc. And anyway, I'm not going to be talking about remote viewing at all. I'm going to be talking about this group of people which I want to share with you about so that you understand what we're looking at. So I call this particular group the agency because I don't have any another name for them because they will never divulge their name and they don't actually have a name per se. They are a particular collective individual existence of people, humans. They are not aliens, they are not superhuman, they are not supernatural. Okay. You need to understand that very clearly. These are just people, okay? And they are people that are being paid and trained to do a particular task. If it's specifically to target certain individuals or people in the world, then that is what they will do. They will set out certain things to have that happen. Okay, there are also people that are very much believing that they are able to control humanity in such a way that they can actually influence the narratives or the frequencies of around the world. They believe that of themselves. It's not the Illuminati, it's not the deep state, it's not um, any other type of secret organization that you may think of. This is not about them at all. In fact, those things are actually think experiments. Okay, that is think tank experiments or social engineering experiments to create certain organizations, such as that Illuminati or Deep State or New World Order or all these organizations, the World Health Organization, you name it, whatever it is that you think, the Community of 300, these are all think tank experiments for a particular social engineering that has to take place. And there are people that are invested in this specific programs and will perpetuate those programs for particular purpose. And I will bring that up as well. So let me explain to you about this agency, okay? And I call it agency, and you can call it agency because I think that is what you can what it can go as because it doesn't have a name because otherwise it'll be tracked. the people that have been doing the remote viewing experiments on certain individuals, such as myself and others, are people that have been tracking these people since they were children, okay, and before them. So they also operate very deeply in the shadows. No, it's not the Ministry of Magic. Again, that is also just a front company, and I'll explain that to you as well. So you need to understand this in a metaphysical way as well. So I want you to take note and keep your mind very clear when you listen to this. Take your time to take in what I'm sharing with you. It's up to you what you do with it entirely at the end of the day. I'm not going to try and uh, 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 sell anything to you. I want to just be very clear on that so you determine what you wish to understand or not. Okay, so I also want to reiterate that the understanding that one must be certain about the understanding of what duality is must make sense to you. So, duality is a flawed concept that was essentially developed by these people. Okay, and I will just refresh your memory on what duality means essentially. Duality is a flawed and fake program that was invented by these particular people who have wished to entrap the individual consciousness in a particular way into the system itself. And by doing that, it had to create two separate paths for consciousness to go into, to understand. They've had many, many psychologists to investigate this, and many esotericists have waxed lyrically over this information. So the left hand path and the right hand path, etc., etc. It's the same program. Okay. So what you need to understand is that duality is presented as an ideology for religious and social and economical and engineering processes to fit into. There has to be a left side and a right side so that there would be a correlation between those two elements, those two mindsets. The mind is split into two parts. You have light and you have dark. Okay, it is essentially a flawed ideology. All right, so you do get the sun, you get the moon, but there is nowhere that there is a definitive no light versus light. There is always light at any point in time, metaphysically speaking. I've spoken about duality at length in previous videos. um, so, if you don't know where it is, I will tell you that duality is created for the purpose of creating division within the mindset, within the consciousness, so that there will always be a yes or a no. There will never be an in between path where you stand within your balance and decide, do you even want to take part in the yes or the no? This is what it's about. All right. That is a mind program or a mind alteration program. You want to call it that as well. It doesn't matter. So duality is as I said, flawed, and it's a fake program that was invented by these people that have wished to entrap the individual consciousness and have it divided so that there is never really any clarity or any direction going forward. They've written a lot of information on how a person's mind must understand duality, and essentially then the outcome of that would be, but you are both light and dark. Okay, you are either this or that, or you are a god within a plurality complex. Okay, which is another thing for oneism, and then um, to be completely scattered all over the universe, and then believing that you're some sort of god that can control the universe as well. That's another thought program, a thought experiment. All right, so think of how the system in the realm operates and how it has been manipulated to represent itself in a particular manner to you, either yes or no, red or blue, red pull, blue pull, whatever you want to call it. There's always those two things, always, always, always. It's not related to masculine or feminine. Okay, masculine principle and the feminine principle are two parts of a bigger picture, of a whole, and those two parts are frequencies. You are either in a physical form a male or a female. You are not both unless you are hermaphroditic, and the same element applies to that as well. You need to understand that We're going through a lot of information, so I don't want to talk hours on this. All right, so they believe a lot in how matter uh, is manipulated. Okay, they are very much focused on the malleability of the consciousness, the subconsciousness, as well as matter, the material realm that you exist within. With that being said, they are very strong and they have a lot of muscle that they use to manipulate the information so that people can see that today there was a building there and tomorrow the building's gone. And then how did that happen? It must have been magic. No, actually, they came in the night and they just did demolish the building. And that's how that happened. But they give a story around that so a human will believe that it was magically destroyed because of some karmic event. Okay, so that is just a very rough sort of summarization of that understanding. Okay, they believe that what you do within the material realm is something that they deeply desire to acquire within themselves. So they operate and focus on everything that you do. They watch you from behind. Now these days are the screens. They watch you from behind the screens. They watch your bank accounts. They watch your machine activity, your internet activity, your browsing activity. They watch everything. They watch your relationships. They watch your social media. They are basically all absolutely 100% voyeuristic, and stalking is what they do. All right. And then they are, in some cases, would create certain propaganda channels to actually then troll other channels as well. Now, the most important focus is on how you believe in a certain thing. This is why they use the thought experiment as a part of their principle. That's what they use. That's how they've been doing what they're doing for many, many years, for thousands of years actually. This is a very old group or an old collective existence. And how you love specifically, that is the biggest focus that they have, is what you love, who you love, how you love. That to them is some sort of anomaly. All right. Who you are and what you do, what is your blood group, where is your DNA, what is your bloodline. There's an obsessive fixation on needing to know about those things, about certain individuals in the world, and perhaps maybe most individuals um, in the world. So the agency studies you, they fixate on some glamorous ideas or promises that they would see the human as a thought, as an experiment itself. The human is seen as the thought experiment. In action and in consciousness, a human's experience to them is something that they relish in. They would love to take part in that person's energy. They believe that they can actually take control of a person's consciousness in some way. And according to Michael Aquino, it is possible to alter and interfere with the human's consciousness quite severely through remote viewing or remote access and psychic abilities. But that I will talk about later. So I need you to understand that we're looking at a group that has been hiding itself in plain sight for a long time. It's not the usual suspects. The usual suspects are the thought programs for people to actually understand, for people to actually either join in or to revere, because those are just shelf companies for them to operate with. All right. So as I said, it's not the Illuminati or anything that else that you may even think about. It's not NASA. It's not anything. It's not Google. It's not BlackRock. BlackRock is just another thing that they've put in the place for people to become fixed on. So the more they bring things in, the more the information comes out. Understand that the information comes out for a purpose, because they willed it so, because they brought it out to be that way. All right. So remember now, the information that I'm sharing with you, I've known for quite a long time, and for many years. And based on their actions and their activities, that is the information that I've been able to present to you as sharing it with you. But it's got nothing to do with me as bringing it into place. I can just tell you, I know what they're doing, and this is what they're doing. And I can tell you that what we're discussing on this channel, if it is decided, which I am deciding right now, for it to be exposed and for it to be unmasked totally, and for the towers to fall completely and for the old reality to crumble down and become obsolete now, then so be it. Because that is what we will for it to be so. And that is based on that principle. So now all the information has got nothing to do with me. I'm just sharing it with you. Whether you decide to take it with a pinch of salt or not, it's entirely up to you. I don't. It's not going to do anything to me if you do what you do with it. All right. Now these are also a type of, you could call it a coven as well. A coven is a collective where a bunch of witches come together and they do all kinds of stuff and rituals to create certain things. They are very focused on witchcraft as well because they can actually manipulate certain energetic fields. All right, so this is why I was trying to tell you to be mindful about how you protect your energetic field, because they are able to track you through your energy field and then to tap into your energy field. All right. That is what they can do. Do they target people all over the world all at once? Yes, they do, because there's a lot of them. There are as many as as there are people in the world that are unconscious of it, as there are people like them that are conscious about you. So be mindful about that. I'm not trying to tell you that this is something that they're going to be checking you out on the road and for you to go into a doomsday prepper state of mind or to go into a fear porn state, because it's not. Okay, because by now they don't operate that way. They operate in the dark and they operate with keying into other elements in the background. This is why I'm doing the video now, so that I'm able to bring it out and load it up as soon as possible. Okay, so that it actually can just get out of the system. All right. So now, what I wanted to say is, they are exceptionally rich. The Yeah, they are exceptionally rich. They have a lot of information on a lot of people. They are actually the controllers of the elites. They are the WHO is just another shelf company or a front company for a particular purpose. Again, for social engineering to see how far it can be exercised for people to actually give into. And if there's a little bit of drama that's put into that situation in a particular country, then they are betting on the way that people react and respond to it. So they know that people, for the most part, are more or less predictable. And so the predictability is what gives them the ability to then con that person or that uh, community into believing in a particular process or a particular idea or an ideology. It normally comes up with wanting to do some sort of upmanship or showmanship where they're able to financially become more successful. They always sell the idea that it's amazing to be rich and this and that. Um, and that is really how they try to hook people into it. You may know of people that are like that. You may know of people that are working for people like that. um, Either way, understand that it is just part of the consciousness that is now finally being put to rest. So they know that me making this video, and they've been watching me for this week since I've been busy with this, that they've had the intention that I am busy putting something together, and for them to have been trying to track me and my loved ones in a particular way to try and create a hysterical state or stress or fear or to stop the heart. Okay, that was what the intention was, so that you know. So now they are very visible right now because I'm talking about them right now, and they will be seeing this video as well, and they will have to make a plan because they've played out their last card. Like I said, the last one was the public event, which was a certain person of a political stance or status, and that person was it was put down to try and draw the attention away from them because they know that they are being watched now, that they are being exposed now, and that is the information I want you to know about. So that was a psyop. That was for the purpose of putting the card down, the last card that they have. They do not have any other cards to play. They've played them all. Whereas I actually know that we've got a lot more cards on our side. Okay. So they are now visible because of your actions, because of your deeds of self-love, because of your self-actualization, because you've been working on loving yourself. You've altered the frequency of the ratio of the percentage of souls to a point where there is much more on the side of self-love than there is on the side of self-hatred or non-existent or narcissist or whatever you want to call it, that side. Okay. And I'm not going to ever say to you that that side is the same as this side. It is not the same. Okay. One frequency is not the same as the other frequency. Can they work together? Maybe. Okay, that is entirely up to the human race itself. All right, so you must be mindful that this is a pinnacle of showing you slice of cake of the mental warfare that's been going on for many years behind the scenes. Okay, and many other people may know about this. All right, that may have been going through this whole thing. So me talking about this may be either new to you, or you may have then finally put the pennies together in your mind. Okay, so your energy will show up through your own personal virtues, that which is there, that is trying to predate on your energy. So nowhere, wherever you go, will you not will you not be aware of them. You will know of them, and when you are aware of them, you will remove their frequency away from them, and you will become stronger in yourself, so that you are able to distance yourself from those types of elemental beings, those people. Okay, and like I said, they are not aliens, they are not demons, they're not this, they're not angels, they're none of those things that you think of. These are humans, okay? These are humans that have been working behind the scenes for a long time. And many of those that you think are working in certain secret organizations, they are working for the agency. The agency is their boss, okay? And that's how you need to see it, all right? Finally, you are able to see the entire capstone for what it is, because that is essentially the capstone. That is what they believe themselves to be. Not some Masonic agency, not some Luciferian agency or Satanist cult or any of that. Those are all shelf companies. Okay? So there is a physical presence to these people. You may know, you may have felt it. You may not have been able to put your thoughts immediately, together on it, but you have definitely sensed their energy. Um, they are, like I said, humans, but they are wearing masks, so they are never really physically visible to you unless you are aware of them, which I'm sure most of you are. Okay, I know that they are watching me through this channel. I think you can look at them as some sort of adjustment bureau type of thing. That's what they believe themselves to be, that they can actually control that much frequency within the realm, specifically now. More so because there's a lot more people that are coming into themselves, becoming more aware, whether people are conscious about it or not. Um, they are also not aliens, nor are they gods, as much as they believe themselves to be gods. They do believe that they are the Elohim or some children of the fallen angels. That is what they believe, but that is again connecting it to some sort of religious ideology as well. I'm just giving it to you as I am aware of it. Okay, so they also believe in a lot of mental magic and rituals that go with it, because they love that sort of thing. It's exciting to them. There's a lot of energy that's generated in those rituals, even by the coven, by the groups that are doing the rituals. They are tapping into those frequencies, okay, and they thrive on that. Um, with technology and the mental capacity to do remote access, that's basically what I am able to sense from them. um, I can tell you that there's quite a few of them. There's a guy who's working from a boat, who's doing sort of mental projectionism as well. So they choose these sort of selected areas, these arenas where they can play out their little games of studying a person to nth degree. Okay. So does the agency relate to what has been mentioned about them in history? Yes, you also know this agency is the highest, is also known as the highest principalities. You could see it that way as well, but keep in mind that they are physical in form, so they do bleed. they are also in pain. They can also carry illness and sickness with them, and that is a fact. All right. So they are not as supernatural as they believe themselves to be. Right? They are also inventors, and many of them have major organizations and corporations that basically control the entire world through smaller organizations, through these corporations. Many of these corporations function without even knowing who their slave master is, even in the first place. So people think that the very organizations that they may be working for, maybe for years, do answer to a secret boss or a leader at the top that not even the big boss of the company knows about. That's basically what you can look at as well. They manage the elite. All right, the elite are the muscle because of the money, because they are sort of close to the top. They can see a little bit down there, but they're right in the middle. They're squashed in the middle. They are the scapegoats. And when I refer to the elite, I'm not referring to the elite people that would consider themselves to be extremely rich and influential to be able to buy pieces off the moon, for example. Those types of elites I'm talking about, as such. There's nothing wrong with being financially rich or well endowed in those ways. You have worked, after all, for whatever it is, so it doesn't matter in what degree. If you have a greed streak to you, like certain elites, as you know, they are very much um, handled by this agency. All right, so they are essentially using the elites management completely. All right, but the elites are actually the golden calves for the sacrifices. So if things don't happen on the ground, the elites are being sacrificed as because the actions are not, because the expectations from the agency is not met. The agency's power structure rests on all of the shelf companies. Okay, so organizations, secret societies, governments are like the door stoppers. Those are shelf companies. They're created for a particular purpose. Um, People believe that it must be some sort of committee of 300. Like I said, it is simply not, because those are only the scapegoats. The committee answers to them, and not even they are able to reach higher up. Okay, so they are limited to how they engage with the agency. They don't even know who these members of the agency are. All right. So many rituals are done in corners and cupboards to sacrifice a lot of energy for the perpetuation of being, blessed by certain freedom that they can do what they do. The elites can do whatever they want because the agency has got them covered. Only because the elites having to do certain jobs X, Y, and Z for that purpose. If the agencies had enough of the frequency of a particular person in an elite group, or whatever you want to call it. Could be a person of a public status. That person is removed or exposed or shamed in public and then made obsolete. And that is how the frequency keeps perpetuating itself, because their trade is in minerals and in energy, and they don't really have money exchange, because that draws information, that draws attention to where they are. So everybody underneath this capstone is doing all the work. Now remember, now you may have thought that the capstone is where the 300 is. They're underneath the capstone. All right. So you at the very, 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 very bottom of the grassroots is essentially the collateral frequency of energy as a human consciousness. That is how they observe humanity. All right. So the power structure that gives the strength to the agency is the fact that there's so many organizations all around the world that are basically answering to this agency. All right, so they usher organizations to continuously build millions and millions of front companies on top of. So the more they can build extra buildings or companies onto themselves, the more control they can have over the entire system. That's their belief system. All right, and remember now, This is just because of all of the energy work that you've been doing, that they are now being made visible. So now that they are made visible, there's no more boogeyman. So keep that in mind. So some secrets and others are certain secrets are made public on purpose to redirect consciousness into a particular traffic, so that it will lead up to a next point of beginning of some sort of thing on a timeline. They use the information to uh, corral a certain consciousness to go to a particular direction. I've spoken about this at length in many videos. You have seen how this works. They basically did not like the understanding of the Taurus because it is exactly what it is to them, which presents even more of a focus on them. They are aware of the Taurus because the information about the Taurus is now being divulged in media, and it is being made known everywhere that the trapezoid is that very main focus point that they've been working with all along. So, as I told you, as I've mentioned to you, they buy up companies, they build companies, and they buy up companies, and then they break them down over a certain period of time. They then destroy the entire infrastructure of that particular company that is representative to a particular organization, or a time that it was represented as. So they are able then to control the time as an understanding of an idea that if they remove that particular building of that particular timeline, then that means they have altered time. Okay, so they're a bit stupid as well. That I'm just saying it to you straight out. All right, so land masses are also presented to them. From whatever you can see, some land masses are definitely not divulged. Many countries, continents you don't even know about. Those continents and things are definitely being presented to them. They don't divulge more information for you. You only know of the seven continents, and that's all you'll ever know of. The world is much bigger than you think. And like I said, the Taurus model is the metaphysical representation of how their infrastructure has been operating all along. Okay, so the what the Taurus model has presented was electromagnetic field that was holding the infrastructure in place, which is exactly what they have been working with, like I said, and have been putting it into mainstream and multimedia in various different ways. So the trapezoid, ever since I've spoken about it, is everywhere. You cannot not see. It's everywhere. All right. So they are making it clear that they have to divulge that information because it means that that part of their game has now been played out. So they have to divulge that information. Right. So countries are bought up and sold and traded with, names are given to it, renamed, etc., etc. They've been doing this, like I said, for thousands of years. Um, they build war machines, they rig them up, and then, like some thrift shop, then tear them down, and then it served the purpose. And then they were able to extract out of that war time a particular frequency that they were requiring to use. All right. So they believe in your energetic frequency. They believe in your energetic signature more than you ever believe in yourself. So you need to understand that that is why they drive these thought experiments into the world for people to give energy towards. Okay, so they believe themselves as being that godlike that they can actually do that. But I'll explain to you where they originally come from and how their belief system originates so that you'll understand towards the end. Now, those who are direct in contact on the at the lower rung, members of the agency handle the exchange of the narratives that they implemented into the system. So Soros is one of them that came to mind. They don't get paid by the agency. These guys do not get paid by the agency. People like Soros get their money from the what they do afterwards. So they are given an assignment to do, which they will follow through, but they will score in the end if they were able to create a particular corruption or a particular chaos to happen in a particular country. And that is out of those spoils that those guys get their pay. Whereas the agency then gets the overall allegiance from that puppet that they've controlled to create the chaos in the first place. So you need to understand that is how the infrastructure works for them, their architecture of control. All right. So this is why I'm saying these engineers or social engineers or elites or whatever you want to call them, they are only puppets. They are just easy to manipulate. They are actually even easier to manipulate because they have a lot of money and they will always be slave to their money. And this agency is very aware of it. So they alter the frequencies, alter what they wish to have by indoctrinating and controlling those engineers. Okay, so I'm calling the elites engineers. All right, so now you know where that part comes from as well. All right, so there is more power in the knowledge than what you believe. They gain a lot of power by the knowledge that they can create for a person to believe in. They feed off of that frequency, that energy. All right. They present the information into place and they watch and they sit and they watch even over time. They will watch and see, okay, so now 50% of the world has now decided to buy into that particular uh, program, or 30% have, and that means we've got 30% on our stocks there in terms of certain things. So we will then alter that and see if maybe changes a little bit. Actually, let's throw in a rebel war there, here, and there, and see what they do next. Okay, so that's basically what they do. All right, the agency is like a type of frequency that in the agency itself, they believe that it's a calling to be part of the agency. So they are very much in control of their own bloodlines, their own birth, their own children. Basically, you could see them in that way as well. That's what they have wanted to believe of themselves anyway. So these countries that are at war, those are actually just orchestrated by an engineer who was given the job to do. So the engineers themselves are idiots. They have no understanding of how the frequency actually works in the world, and that many of these things are just easily manipulated by certain key events that they can place anywhere in the world at any time. All right, so that's basically that. Now, is this agency some kind of demonic element or some cartel or some sort of evil thing that exists in the background? I actually think that they hate being called humans, so I'm going to call them humans and really rub it in, right? Because they believe themselves to be super beyond or becoming living gods or something like that. So let me say this: whenever they seek out to receive or pay for certain cults to do deeper investigation into certain members of society in the world, they leave an energetic trail or footprint behind, which I can see and some people can see as well. All right. And based on that, uh, they appear like a type of half alive, like half alive. Their or energy field is not exactly very human like. So they appear to be, to me, from what I can see, like half-lives, not really physically human. Okay, so I want to call them zombies. Maybe that's what they are. I don't know. So other than that, okay, so now that they leave this energetic track behind them, especially since they obviously can't help themselves because they're very greedy. They love public scenarios. They love to be spoken about. So, and yes, it was a social engineered thought experiment. Like I said, most of these things happened to get people's attention away from them because they know it was going to happen at some point. Right. So in simple terms here, all the companies get to understand, all the companies and organizations and elites and deep states and World Health Organizations and community and the CFR and the IMF and whatever you want to call it, all of those things are all thought field experiments for social engineering so that it can differentiate a particular consciousness to operate in the system. So the more people that are buying into those particular things that create certain events, the more they're able to have control over the consciousness of that particular um, population or group of people consciousness. Right. The IMF is very important to them. You could call them the vault of where they stash all the minerals in. That's the bottom side of the IMF, is underground. Um, Yeah, so like I said, they trade in minerals and the instruments that they use, actual offices that I've seen energetically, have very old machinery, like old fax machines. I could see that there's Xerox machines that are used. So these things are all off the grid. So they operate off grid. You're practically unable to see them on any other physical way except their minions that do the dirty work for them to send like DOS attacks to people's companies and laptops and so on. So it takes a lot of money and minerals to script certain narratives. You could call them the script keepers. Okay, I've been mentioning them now quite some time. So the script keepers are working on 100-year plan. So their planning is meticulous and it's extremely detailed. Um, it costs, like I said, it costs a lot to invest in certain narratives to play out. So they use the muscle money to make it happen for them. They use the muscle money to do everything that they want for them to happen. All right. Uh, Depending what is being implemented or done, many of these narratives are scripted in media, news, communities, dramas, etc. You know exactly all of those things. So nothing is new to you in that regard. This agency believes itself to be godlike or superior in supernatural manner to the rest of the world. It believes itself to be the prodigal son to be returned, to have been smited by God, who's never been loved, etc., etc., etc. It plays that story out over and over and over ad nauseum. So it believes itself to be the prodigal, like I said. I mean, you can literally see the traces of the belief system repeat itself over centuries and mythologies. There's no difference in that. They've been doing this for a long time. They're older than the Babylonians. They've been there since before the Babylonians have come to surface. All right. And only because they decided to script it in to suggest that the Babylonians were the first ones to bring in the Anunnaki gods. uh, that's a part of history that's being dark for a particular reason, so that you're never able to see anything before that. All right. So a constant enforcing of various beliefs are being placed within the system to create variables, so that people are able to believe in that, which then creates a ripple in time for people then to become triggered by the ripple in time, and then for people to consciously and subconsciously formulate a reality to happen. In fact, they are priding themselves to have people consciously buy into certain programs that that they send out to people through subjected belief systems. Only guy I can tell you who's proficient at that, or was proficient at that, was Michael Aquino in training people how to infiltrate the subconsciousness of people, calling it mind war. So I can tell you for a fact, and I've spoken about that as well, that those are the techniques as a fact that are being used. That's all it is. There's nothing new under that regard. All right. So they are focused heavily on rituals. They focus heavily on groups of people that build egregores for a particular purpose. They understand how to manipulate the frequency for a particular egregore to come to an existence. It's like creating a mythology story and then letting it loose inside of the media, and people then start to believe in that. That's how simple it is. That is literally how you can alter a frequency or the material realm. Okay. However, the difference between them and what we're doing on this channel is we are able to connect with the original creative force, or that energy that is beyond all of this, and we are able to work within loving ourselves and restructuring our subconsciousness and our entire consciousness within our mind, body, soul, and spirit to be able to become worthy of that love, so that we are able to then create a change in the frequency of the entire reality. In other words, creating another reality beyond this one, which is what we've done, whether you were aware of it or not. And in that way, that is, according to them, supernatural. And in this regard, I want to tell you love is not supernatural. Love is original, warm, kind, supportive, actualized. Love is comfort, peace. Love gives you the opportunity to become stronger in yourself, to be able to work, to become defined in who you are. You have self love, self care, and that is what gives you that opportunity to give you that path forward. This is, after all, how it is meant to be. And by doing that, you are keying in to the support of the original creative force that resonates, can I use that word, with you. You are then connected with that original creative force, and you are then protected and loved, so that you're able to go forward. That is all there is. That's all that I've been trying to explain and share for so long. All right. So understand that the agency has been operating for centuries, as I've said, and I'll bring back that thousands of years. They've created the first secret society, which in turn would give them the collective power to be able to persuade through suggestive subconscious hypnosis, if you want to call it that, or influences through whatever mediums that they use, and influencing the historical events through narratives which they have scripted all along. Many narratives was able to be manipulated, even the elites themselves were manipulated to believe and buy into certain stories about their own bloodlines, thinking that they were some sort of rich bloodline that existed, like a Jesus bloodline or something like that. That is again another narrative. There is no such thing as that. Okay, it never has ever existed. All right, so um, understand that the most important thing that the agency prides itself in is to be able to know that it has the power to change the word, so that people will understand the word to mean a different meaning. As you are now aware, they try to tie up metaphysics with witchcraft, which I have worked very hard to tell you is not witchcraft. Okay, metaphysics is the ability to understand in the consciousness of the original creative force, the highest of everything, so that you're able to disseminate what is truth and what is not truth from the truth from the crap. Okay, that is why I've been wanting to show you how metaphysics works. Okay, I know that this ticks off a lot of irritated professors and scholars in metaphysics and esoterics and all of that um, academic stuff, and they can be ticked off. I don't care. I'm explaining it to you in the highest form that it is, because I'm guided to share that with you. It is what I've been trying to show you all this time. All right. So with the help of these power structures that these elites have now built for them, like temples that they build in random um, continents and countries, and secret seances and little bits of rituals here and there in the Bohemian Grove and blah 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 blah, fish paste. Um, they can contact people that have passed away in spirit form, and they can also do what the people believe in Solomon's magic. That is, after all, a very strong, powerful ability to create certain people in spirit form, which they then believe if they could actually put them all together, creates one giant egregore or some sort of thing that consists out of many spirits. They do not bury their dead in the ground. They cremate them and they put them inside a vault, and the people's spirit is trapped in that vault, which makes the vault a powerful battery of some sort to give them the energetic field and resonance to be able to affect certain things around them. Yes, it's possible to do that. Okay, it's like understanding how weather works, and when weather behaves a certain way, then there are people that are able to do certain things and say certain things inside of their thoughts, and they can alter the way that the weather impacts them. It's part of understanding that you are able to change your reality. You can literally do it within your own consciousness, like I've explained. All right. So where is the you could say that they treat the egregores, which is a let me just explain what an egregore is for people that don't know. An egregore is an energetic um, resonance or a field that becomes tangible, like a type of force that is able to be felt or to perform a certain action. In the Rosicrucian books and also in the Golden Dawn, they talk about how they manufacture egregores. The guy is actually practically shitting himself, where he explains how an egregore must be revered because it's very dangerous, because an egregore can essentially, as a force that is invisible, destroy a person if they break away from their covens or their groups. So they pride themselves in being able to do that on a ritual basis, which is why they need people to invest in the organizations that they have presented. Okay, and the you want to call them in Afrikaans lammervangers, or the engineers or the elites, are the ones that are the gateways or the doorways or the scapegoats through which the consciousness is siphoned in to them. Okay, and that is how you need to look at that. But they use the Solomonic magical rituals to do that because it seems to be the easiest and the most accessible to do. Because every Tom, Dick, and Harry these days is now priding themselves on being able to do that shit, which is actually also just a bunch of hocus pocus in controlling a person who's deceased. All right, like I've said before, uh, there is no demon. The demon is a person, a human that has existed long before, who was assigned to some agency, name, title, so that the person must behave a certain way. It's like trapping a person and putting another address on that person and saying, okay, your name is Alice now, when his name was Ben to begin with. So that is that sort of way in how they control certain things. All right. Now, so within the help of the egregore, what the egregore's help is presenting to them is like a jinn. You could look at it that way as well. Later human spirits used in rituals, like I've said, they believe that they were able to literally control reality by stimulating the emotional frequency around the reality. And people's emotional reactions to certain events change and alter the reality. That is how it works. When you look at something with a particular state of mind, if you're afraid, then that particular event will happen exactly as what they predicted to happen. And there is money in prediction, all right? That is what they do. Remember, there is money and investment in the narrative. It costs a lot of money, so a lot of stock is being used to enforce a particular narrative. They do this for a life, for life. They do this. This is what they believe themselves to do. They believe that they have this job that they are able to do. They believe in some kind of inheritance that they're supposed to receive, which is something to do with doing things in a particular way so that they can inherit whatever it is that they believe themselves to inherit, whether it's magical power or a lot of more money or whatever the case may be. This is their belief system. They don't even know themselves what it is. All right. I mean, they are that confused from what I could see. They are so half dead. It's bizarre to explain to you. They smell as well. They stink. Okay, they smell weird. Because I could smell those things, those people. All right. So literally, there is no country in the world that's not got them in there in some way, shape, or form. All right. So remember now, they've been busy doing these kinds of things within a long time, a long historical timeline within the human condition, the human race. Um, they've been creating companies and societies, and they've been breaking the societies down. Then they wipe out the society by creating sort of belief systems, creating certain things. Societies take themselves out, destroy themselves, literally remove them off the planet, off the map, to put it like that, and then replace it with another society that might be a better version of that one. All right. So that's basically how that operates. Um, so it was always for the belief that the elites are running the show. Like, remember that? Okay, I think we've discussed that. I think I don't want to repeat myself. So they believe themselves to be powerful and equally as misunderstood, like the mythology of the Persian belief. I think Ariman. But what they have learned from the very human race, they hate as well. All right, so that's what makes them who they are. They hate so much the human race that because the human race is so predictable, the human race is so malleable, so easily manipulated by every whimsical, traumatic event that happens in the society. And humans fall into that frequency, hook, line, and sinker. Many of them do, not all. I'm just saying that this is what they believe. All right. The agency's main plan spans over 100 years of time. And that is why I said that their details are planned meticulously. Um, okay, they don't believe in love. Love to them is insignificant. To them, it doesn't exist. They believe very strongly in the original creative force, but they believe themselves to be the ostracized child that still has to work and prove to the original creative force that they are able to work the land and till the soil to earn a rightful place back and at the side of the throne of God. Okay, that is what they believe. So you are the land that's being tilled, so that they are able to present that they were able to teach the human race to become more respectful of them of what they own, of what they have. So you're being trained or taught by them. This is what they believe, that you are a person that has to learn to appreciate what you've got. If you don't have it, then they pride themselves in stepping in, becoming the adversarial belief system in your life, your devil, or whatever you want to call it, so that you are able to be punished by that state of frequency. All right, so that's basically how that works. They yeah. So remember, to them, bloodlines don't really make any difference. They trade with bloodlines. Bloodlines are like stock. They can exchange bloodlines back and forth. As long as there's some sort of esoterical frequency attached to a particular bloodline or a person or a place or thing, that is of more value to them. Remember, if you've got so much, you don't need any of those things anymore. You will now pride yourself in looking for things that are perhaps considered to be very rare, like rare types of people or rare particular abilities, or people that are very gifted, people that are very creative. And the more creative these people are, the more they're going to attract those type of people. So this is why you can see that if the music in the music industry, for example, very creative people go in there and then suddenly they're gone for a while, and then whatever they come bring out is like repeats of the same performance of the previous artist. So they are drained from that frequency. All right, they are essentially drained if they're not looking after themselves, which is what you have been taught to protect your energetic field, like I've been saying all along. All right, so the ability to control and manipulate the subconsciousness is that which they want. It's that sweet spot that they wish to achieve. Okay, they will do a lot to alter the energetic signatures so that they are able to burrow into the subconsciousness of that person, that man or woman or child. Okay, and based on that ability, they're able then to step into that person's subconsciousness. This is what they believe. Okay, to then walk in your shoes, literally. They believe themselves. They will cut their hair like yours. They will surgically change their faces like yours. They will change it to your face. They will try and live like you, because then they believe that maybe you stand a chance of actually going into being loved by the original creative force, that they will able to get loved as well while they're in your shadows, while they're in your shoes or wearing your coat or wearing your hairstyle or surgically have changed their face to look like you so that they could actually do that. Okay, so these people are everywhere. You will know them, you will see them now because you have a lot of strength and love and energetic um, uniqueness within yourself. So now you're unable to not know, uh, to not be, to be innocent from this. You are seeing it all now. That is what I'm trying to tell you. So there is no excuse in not knowing about these people. Okay, and they know it as well. So what I want to bring to you towards this now, I'm not going to talk forever here, is that they are the ones that are wishing to control the consciousness. Okay, they believe themselves to be some kind of supernatural deity, with but they're just humans. Okay, they do not have supernatural powers. They're not gods, they're not angels, they're not watchers, they're not none of those things. They're just a bunch of weird humans that have been sitting there in the dark, and they've created this thing, and they've created this long history with it, and they pride themselves in controlling everything else, including the elites. They really enjoy doing that. Okay. So, and that they pride in the ability to be able to harness the power of the egregore to be able to create certain things to happen on a spiritual level. Okay. And physical. Like I said, they need muscle money and they need esoteric influence and clout to really screw with the consciousness of people. All right. So what pertains to them is an old prophecy, an old belief system, in which they believe that they are entitled to, in fact, inherit some kind of, like I said, achievement, inheritance, or something, in which relates to the inheriting the ability to create realities. Okay, they seek this ability to do so. Whereas a living soul cannot create, but a life emitting spirit, which is the people that are connected to Great Spirit or the original creative force, are able to create. So, life giving versus life emitting, alive, but not creative at all. Okay. So, they seek that power that a person such as that has within themselves. And they are looking everywhere for it, because if they are able to create another reality, it means then that they've done what they were supposed to do all along. Okay. This inheritance relates to, like I said, creating realities, creating worlds, the ability to be just like the original creative force, which is a desire that mostly all the fools who wish themselves to be gods wishes to be, which is senseless and not possible ever. So let me just tell you that, and blow all the balloons there. The ability to inherit that particular ability they think is inside of people's blood. Okay, but because there were so many people that were starting to become very creative over a very short period of time in terms of self love, they decided to create something that would actually just destroy the whole lot, all the blood, so that it doesn't really come out in any particular direction. It must just be, let's just get rid of the whole, because I don't think this unicorn exists. I'd just rather just destroy all the horses, and then we can make sure that it won't happen. Okay, that's basically what I'm seeing. All right, so they were at one stage so very worried that that's why they did that. Besides, it cost a lot of money, and they got a lot of money out of it as well. In that case, I think everyone knows about that now. So, with the last video, or the last few videos that were brought in, there was a lot of information that I was trying to explain about egregores and gods and all of that stuff. Basically, an egregoric thought field or energetic field just becomes dismantled within itself. Whatever it was attached to, like some celestial, all of the mantras that I said in all of those other videos were all done as prayers to disconnect these uh, energies away from the agency, so that there is no more protection, there is no more hiding behind some celestial god or anything like that. They are now extremely vulnerable, and this is how it's been going. This is the process. All right. So there are no more egregores stuck to them. There are no celestials that are protecting them. Those things have all been released. The spirits, the people that have passed away, that have been entrapped in the agencies of being demons or devils, are also released. They've been released every day since those videos that I've made about the breaking of the ring. A lot of people have been actually going back into the frequency of the original creative force in spirit who have passed away, and I can tell you that there is no stuckness anywhere in any particular entrapment at all. Um, Basically because the yeah that because I can see it. All right. So overall, what I want to tell you is that the original creative force, the knowledge of the original creative force or great spirit, or however you want to call it for yourself, became thickened with dust or smoke, if you want to call it, to hide the knowledge about the connection with the original creative spirit, which was basically blocking the connection that people used to have with the original creative spirit, except that was the past, because it is now different, because it is the frequency is alive. There is a connection. You can feel the presence of the original creative force everywhere, and there is the ability for people to learn faster, to acquire knowledge quicker. It's changing what this realm was meant for. It's changing the dynamic of the realm's quality. It's not what it used to be anymore. Remember, it used to be noted as some sort of place where people were locked in and couldn't get out. I think some idiot called it a prison planet. I don't think I actually called it that. I called it a cell, or a jail cell. But I said to you, I'm giving you the map on how to get out of the jail cell. Now, because you've looked after yourself so well, you were able to just flatten completely the understanding of a jail cell to begin with. So you've literally altered the reality from jail cell to something completely different. Okay, because you've been working on your connectivity within and your self-love. And that is the principle behind that. So now I'm going to explain to you about this Persian mythology that explains to you exactly how they are, who they believe themselves to be, and what they are essentially to you. So I've written it down here. The Persian mythology applies here with Ahriman was eventually birthed, similar to the story of the Gnostics about Yaldabaoth, believed himself to be the most powerful primordial god of the so-called universe, so powerful that it believed that the sun and the moon would serve it as well, along with all the celestials. Okay, problem number one. All right. Uh, he believed himself to be alone in the universe because, after all, he was blinded by his own light. So he couldn't see anything else but his own head, to put it like that. And so the primordial creator, not original creative force, this thing that considered itself to be a primordial creator because it could only see itself, because it was blinded by its own power, had decided that it wanted to have something to birth for itself, you know. So it prayed and made offerings for 1,000 years until it finally was able to self procreate and conceive a child within himself. It considers itself him, okay? And him considered himself to be able to have a child from within, okay? This gives you an immediate understanding, immediate thought of Saturn, where I think it was Zeus that cut his stomach open to go out, something like that. Anyway, I'm not talking about mythologies now. So before it happened, he began to doubt himself, wondering if his sacrifices were suitable to the universe, and this triggered unexpected outcomes for him. Remember Sophia and the Gnostics, same story. Okay? Remember now, these guys are the ones that write these stories to emphasize their wounds. They keep projecting their wound into the story. And they keep wanting people to buy into this wound all the time. Okay? and that is essentially why it is the way it is. So so this thing, which he calls himself, it calls himself primordial creator. Uh, like I said, then prayed to have a child, to fall pregnant, to have a child, to birth a child. Okay, I think the story about Mithras is one of the same, where he was able to ejaculate on a rock, and then out of that came um, a child as well. These are all obsessed people that believe that they are able to create like gods. Okay, it's a transhumanist type of pseudo frequency idea belief system. It's where it's coming from the agency, right? So um, suddenly the child he conceived embodies all his beauty, majesty, and goodness. It is a reflection of pure light and absolute perfection. But for his doubt, another child was conceived in the womb of the universe, a being symbolic of all darkness, ugliness, and evil. So there's a duality, all right? Keep that in mind. Duality. The other child embodies all that is rejected. He is hostile. They see themselves as the creator, and they see themselves as being able to birth the human race into some sort of existence, and then being able to pride themselves that they can create good and bad, duality, goodness and all evil. And then let's watch the game, because that's how it works, right? And so religion was born, science was born, all of the stuff was born to complement this flawed program, this flawed belief system of duality, right? So, however, the first son to be born, like I said, is a beautiful child full of light, and it was the dark twin, this foul lord of darkness and all evil in the universe, who rips his father's womb to emerge first and take over the world. So you see, they believe themselves to have been the firstborn and the ones that have been ousted away from the entire creation, from away from the original creative force. Okay, so um, duality is created as a program to believe in. People create societies based on duality because don't know any better, and they themselves believe to be the first born child, which is evil and all smited and dark and ugly. But then they try to remake it up by trying to change the frequency of the people in the world, in the realm. Okay, they do it continuously. They see it as a mission. All right. So it wasn't the bright child that was born first. It was the dark evil twin that was born first. All right. So as an all embracing unity, he does not know the nature of division. Finally, when he realizes that he's about to give birth to twins, he promises his firstborn son the rule over the universe and all creation. However, the first son to be born was not beautiful child, but was the dark twin, the foul lord of darkness, all evil in the universe, and wounded as fuck, and who rips his father's womb to emerge first and take over the world. The story goes this bright child is called Ormuzd, and he would later be called Ahura Mazda, and the other Lord, and the Lord of wisdom and the highest spirit of worship in the Zoroastrianism, which is the level of degree that they place themselves at the bottom rung so that they are able to achieve that ability. Okay, so the myth itself, okay, and the dark one is called Ariman, and Ariman is also Angra Mainyu, and which is the epitome of the adversary and the origin of all witchcraft, black magic, and sorcery. So left hand path, right hand path, two hands on the same body. Really? Okay. So okay. The myth itself, like other similar stories, was invented to explain the duality existing at the foundations of their universe, their belief systems, right? Showing that birth of two opposite principles, typifying the dichotomy of and duality of life, how it should be controlled, right? Whereas I have proven many times, like I've said, that duality is fixed as an outcome, and that's all there is. It's always that. In other words, there's no infinite potential. It's just fixed potential in matter, which is wrong because the original creative force is not potentially fixed in matter. You are not fixed potentially in matter. You are infinite potential and operate within a balanced process as being whole and able to influence and change and create because you are connected through love to the original creative force. No one can copy that if they do not have love, which is real within themselves. Now they're in a panic. Okay. They know that they are out, they are nude, they are stuck, they are screwed. All right. As the principal opposite the light of Ahura Mazda, he is the prototype of the adversary as an entity defying primordial time, blah, 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 blah. Okay. He himself, I'm reading the notes that I've made and I'm just skipping through a few here. Um, I'm not even going to. So he himself believes himself to be the timeless and the limitless, which means the agency believes that about themselves again. They believe themselves as the dark child, the dark twin, whereas those people that are able to love themselves are seen as Ahura Mazda or the light twin. So they keep trying to get into your energy field because they see you as the ladder for the snake to slither all the way up into the fold of the original creative force because you will, when you pass away, enter into the creative force because you are working on it right now. Okay. And you are able to create your life to change and to adapt the way that you wish it to be for yourself personally because that is your right, your birthright to do that. It is not their birthright to do any of that stuff, and yet they believe that they can because they believe that they are your twin. Okay, so now how do you stop this bullshit? How do you stop it from actually accessing you? Well, for starters, how do you destroy dark? You point light into it. But how do you point light into it? You go into the dark to shine a torch into the corner, and then there's no dark. In other words, you have to be able to be in control of your mind, body, soul, and spirit. You have to know that you are light and dark. Dark as in a frequency of density, okay? Not color, okay? Light as in a frequency of density of energy, okay? So dark light, light light. I don't know how you want to how I can explain it to you to understand that masculine and feminine principle is light and dark. Okay, it is light because it is the opposite of dark, and dark because it is the opposite of light. It is the same frequency, but it is balanced between two parts within the center point of the heart, which goes all the way through, which is you. Okay, your spirit. To present that information to you. I have spoken about this countless times. I'm going to leave the information here with you. I want you to understand that the story about the agency is actual. They do exist. There are actually people. If you do a little bit of research, you'll get to see what I'm talking about. You'll also understand that there's a lot of cooking things around in the background where you are now able to see more. There is no place anymore for you to doubt yourself, your abilities of being able to create your personal reality when it comes from love. That's all that it is. It always has been, and I will always keep sharing that information with you. I will always bring that across to you. Um, there are certain similarities between these two paradigms, the old one and the new one, but you are entering into a reality which you have created for yourself. What has it got to do with the overall realm dynamics? It means that the entire system overlay has fallen away and that the entire ideology of something that used to be contained is no more. There is no containment field around the frequency of the realm. In other words, there is freedom within the presence of the uniqueness, of awareness, of actualization of what is within you. And that is the information I wish to share with you. I hope that this has found you well, and we will connect again and I will discuss more on this at another time. I think this is enough information. I think you get the idea of who they are, uh, and investigate that story about what I've just told you about Ariman. It really is no mystery. They are not mystical. They're just humans, but they're a little bit half dead, a little bit off. Anyway, leaving it there. So we'll talk again. Thank you.